Good morning, Flosstube. Happy New Year. Pam here, stitching between the lines on Tuesday morning, January 2nd. Snowy, cold. Although I walked by the thermometer, I have to take some things down to the mailbox. Our mailbox we have a long driveway, and it was 18 degrees. So I thought, oh, heat wave. On the last, I don't know how many days, weeks, months, I don't know, a lot of days. The warmest I've seen it is 9. So it's pretty good. But we're going to get to 0 or below as the days go on here. So again, it's a heat wave. So nothing better to do than stay in and stitch. Yay. And try to get the Christmas stuff put away. You know how that is. Not a lot of motivation. Not. So anyway, we had a lovely Christmas. Kids home. 2 of them are back where they belong. Well, sort of. Out of the house, doing whatever it is they do. The youngest is still home from school. Today she's off having one of her teacher certification exams. So she's out of the house for at least the morning so I can make a video. I haven't had a lot of time to watch videos. Oh my gosh, you guys are cranking them out. I'm way behind. I have some new people I'm starting to watch, and I like to watch them from the beginning, and that's been hard. So their Christmas I keep seeing their things pop up, their Christmas updates and whatnot, progress, whatever, but I like to see them from the beginning and see how projects evolved and whatnot. So I have my work cut out for me. A lot of stitching time, and it's cold and wintry, so those are 2 good combinations. Lots of Flosstube to watch and stitching. So anyway, I posted some things on Instagram as I went along and did some finishes and progress or whatever. So I have I think everything here. I think it felt a little chaotic pulling it all in from wherever it was. Anyway, so let's get right on it. I know I have a few asides that we will probably, some little paths will go down at some point here. So this I showed on Instagram, and it got lots of, yeah, well, there you go. That just pokes in. It's just a little, let's see, what does it look like here in the picture? It's just a little, it's not even a bow. I bought this. This is just a stick, prick, whatever you call them. From Joann's, bought the sign at Joann's. Here's Lantern Lane. I lace my work when I put it on, even though I used one of the sticky boards to get the shape, but it's such a big piece, and the fabric I used, which, sorry, I don't know what it is right now, has some stretch to it. So I walked by it last night as I was taking it off the wall, and I don't know, what is that? So this is one of the things that I find myself dealing with whenever I finish anything myself, even though I've pressed it and spritzed it and let it dry and everything, and then I do the stretching. Sometimes the fabric just goes back the way it wants to be. I don't know. So there's a little hill there. It almost looks like air as I move it, as the fabric kind of puffs up. So maybe I can smooth it around and it'll smooth out. I don't think that's the same thing there. It looks kind of shadowy in the picture. But anyway, Lantern Lane, done with the recommended. I use the silks. I wanted to. It was only $7, I think, and which didn't seem horrible in pricing. I don't know. It came out nice and everything, and they're nice. I wouldn't go crazy over wanting them or anything. I think doing it again or differently, maybe I would pull the silks and do a couple things in silks, like the birds. That would just make them stand out a little differently, but they're fine. Everything's fine. So anyway, this is a sign from Joann's, nothing fancy. But the way that I did that top part, because I know people struggle with, wait, now how do I attach that thing? Fortunately, I have my husband with the tools that can do these things. So I bought black wire from Joann's. So nothing fancy. And then if you've ever done things with like coiling a wire or whatever, you just wrap it around a pencil, pull the pencil out, and you can crimp it, stretch it, do whatever. My husband drilled the holes, and then we poked the wire through, and then he also drilled little holes through these pegs so that I could stick the wire through and then I could wind it around. So one of the things that let me do was get it level, because that, when I was looking at that, that didn't appear to be like the easiest thing that was going to happen. And then coiling this wire also helps you level it, because you can crunch up one side or stretch one side out or whatever to help it look level. And they don't need to be uniform, because it's just that kind of whimsical country look. So there's that. Lantern Lane, ready to be put away till next year. I haven't quite figured out how this is going to get put away, but put away it is. So anyway, I'm just putting it over here for now. And finding the piece of greenery on the floor before the cats do. So that'll just poke back in there or whatever. It's usually pretty easy going. Another finish I showed in a video of recent Flosstubism, I don't know, was Season's Greetings by Hindsight, which is a pattern, a kit, because, well, no, fabric wasn't in it. No, it was the thread. Okay, so you know Hindsight, they come and they usually have a charm or 2 or 10, whatever. So this one looks like that, a bow, some pine cones, some berries. It's very cute. And this, the pattern came with this frame, and this is really what I fell in love with. I just love anything that's sort of that Victorian Santa. So I just whipped this up on some random piece of fabric. I have no idea what it is. Actually, the name of this from Hindsight, because I'm writing these things down, is Charmed Season's Greetings. So anyway, that was an easy one. I could lace this one because it's small and manageable. Put it on. I glued the paper on the back, so everything is, you know, it looks nice, and it's hopefully will hold up for years to come. So those are finished, finally finished, fully finished. Another finish I have that I posted on Instagram. One of the asides I intended to take today was about Instagram. I enjoy Instagram. I don't follow a whole lot of people because I don't even always check it every day. And so sometimes there's a lot to look at. When I set up my Instagram, I mostly set it up for kind of more personal things, pictures that kids might like to see or something like that. And now I have lots and lots of followers, which is very nice. I enjoy that. So there's lots of commenting and, you know, things to see. I'm not quite sure what I will do with Instagram in the future. Sometimes that's the only way you can update a Sal or follow a Sal. Especially if they're not floss tubing people that show their things. But, you know, I don't really, when I post a picture of the cat, one of my cats, that's not, you know, that's really so the kids can see it. So I don't know. I may start another Instagram. One of my kids said it's not that easy to, like, toggle between the two, so I'm not really sure. I don't know. And I do check every single person who follows me. Every single person. And if you by chance are using somebody else's Instagram, say your husband has one, and so it's a picture of him, and you're choosing to follow me, you're blocked. That's all there is to it. Every time there's a man's name that follows me, I look at his, and if he only has if his pictures are only about him and his guns or his hunting or whatever nonsense, I don't know, his military life, his bodybuilding, they're blocked. There's no two ways about it. And sometimes when I do that, I think, oh, I wonder if that's somebody who just isn't quite savvy enough to set up their own. But I'm just going to say, tough luck, it's not that hard. It's creepy. Creepy people follow you. So that's the other thing is I'm thinking, like Facebook, which I'm not a fan of. I don't know. I guess I like my life private. I worked in the court system for a lot of years. People be crazy. I'm just telling you, and I know you see it happening. You see people who do Flosstube and either go away or delete old videos out because they realize what they have said, and that people are thinking about it and remembering it and putting it to use, good or bad. So anyway, could be I'll be changing Instagram. I'm not sure. I don't know. So there you go. I'm still mentioning it, that I've put some things on Instagram. So I put this up, Early Americans. When I first posted it, I called it Let Freedom Ring. And then it was a little while later, I thought, oh, wait a minute, that was wrong. So I went back and changed it. So people probably had seen and read that I called it that. So my comment that I wrote might look a little funny if you didn't realize that I called it the wrong name in an original post and had to go back and edit it. So anyway, Early Americans, done with Vanna's border, finished. It's going to the framers. Once it's not, 0 degrees out and snowing every day and blowing the snow all over the road. Keeping us home. Early Americans, done. So then my progress. Holy cow. I really feel like I haven't had a lot of stitching time. So maybe not a lot of progress, but I have a lot of things underway, good, bad, and indifferent. Priscilla and Chelsea's winter stitch along. Is This Country Cottage Needleworks Forest Snowfall. So it's in one of my Made by Mama Joan bags, with the picture facing out, the color key facing out. Struggled. I know I posted wherever we post these things that I didn't love the fabric or set it in a Flosstube or whatever. Didn't like the fabric that came with it. To me, it was too dull. So I struggled and messed around a little bit and came up with this piece that I bought at Stitchville. Yeah. Called, trying to be good about keeping these things. It's Stormy Clouds. And it's 32 count. And this is what the tag said. It said Bell 7. So I'm not sure what that meant. To me, it means Belfast. I have no idea what the 7 means. So I don't know who makes it. But it is perfect. Perfect. I'm going to move it around and see if we can't get a good color shot of it. It's a bit gray, a bit light blue. A gray that's kind of light blue. And then also in the kit, as you all know, or many of you, and it's been commented on many times on the Little House, Country Cottage, whatever, Facebook page. People aren't in love with the fabric. They're not in love with the thread color. This pattern came out, I think, in 2006. So that's a lot of years, time for a lot of things to change. The original fabric is not available. And the blue that you see in the words is called Deep Fennel. And Deep Fennel is apparently very green now. So I know when Amy at Down Sunshine Lane kitted it up, her blue substitute was blue corn, which happens to be the same blue that was used in Early Americans. But I have quite a collection that I've had over the years, amassed over the years of threads. And my Deep Fennel is the perfect blue. So I am using that. So I am using all the called for colors on this piece of fabric that I happened upon in my sewing room. So I am pleased with that. And I feel like that's not going to take forever, assuming I work on it. Because there's that. And let's see, some more progress. Let Freedom Ring. I really did work on Let Freedom Ring. Here it is in its picture of grandeur. Do you see Ginger Gerald finished his? He made a couple changes that I'm not sure if I will do them. But I am going to take the letters America off the flag. To me, that just muddies the waters. And I honestly didn't even notice that they were there until he commented on how he took them out. It's the flag. It doesn't need to say that. So anyway, I'm doing this on Oh, shoot. I didn't, oh, a piece of 36 count Picture This Plus Mellow. And I'm doing it on my lap frame scroll, which I almost never use. It's awkward. Whatever. But I bought 30-inch wide scroll bars, and so then that fits across and sits on the arms of my comfy chair until you have to start getting over to a side, and then all of a sudden it's not working right anymore. But anyway, my goal had stopped last time in the midst of this midsection. I only had a tiny bit of it done, so I did this little midsection windows, and then like the basement windows, and then started on over the whatever direction that is to the right when I'm working on it, portico. It's coming along very, very nicely when I work on it. Ooh, sorry, I didn't mean to whack you guys in the head. That's the way this is, though. That's the way it is, having something this incredibly oversized, is when I have to turn it over. I feel like, look out, everybody, because I need to see the back often when my thread runs out and whatever. So, let freedom ring. Got some airtime. It's probably not coming out again till spring. It's not coming to Florida with me. And then I had a Christmas Day start because that's how you do these things. And it was, I'm happy to say, something that had been in a project bag, in my whip basket, or a project basket full of kitted up things. I'm not even going to delude you guys into saying that they are whips, because most of them don't have a stitch in them. I work with a magnet board. That's what I use. So, Bent Creek's Soapbox Winter, which I have had since it came out. So, love the color, the tone of the colors in this. I did do this tree back in 2016, I think it was. I was doing a Christmas ornament a month, and this was the ornament I did. Was this? I liked it. It's like, looks like log cabin quilt blocks in the shape of the tree. So I did do that for that. So anyway, I started Soapbox. I did the snowman, which, as you know, all that endless white feels like it's going to take forever. But it's done. I did the little pedestal he's standing on. So now all these little chunks are, to me, feel like very small, doable. Like if next time I want to just do the alphabet, then I feel like I have I've reached a step that's a good stopping point. A lot of people do rotations and they work for a specific amount of time on something. I tend to work to a specific goal. So if it's a little block like this, or if it's a section like on Let Freedom Ring, or if it's like in the Early Americans, just one of the installments, for me that's generally how I do it. On a Heaven and Earth Design, just one page, whatever. So anyway, I feel like if I continue working on this, which, throughout the year, I can't believe I can't finish this year. I can do these in small installments and feel like I am making progress. So the fabric, I don't know what it is. It's been in there with the pattern for a long time. So there's that one. And then, let me see where to go to next. Let's go this way. As I've talked about before, in the early fall, I pulled out a whole bunch of fall projects, kitted them up, fabric thread, the whole 9 yards, and I worked my way, and I finished all of them, which I don't have that information right here now. In previous videos, I showed it, with the exception of 3. I did not finish or start this one, or this one. And I am in the midst of this one, Jack Cat, which is a U&I design, U&I and Friends, which I have had for years. I have had this pattern for years. And surprisingly, it took a lot longer to stitch than I anticipated. Whoops, can't see through all that. I'm working on it. I got the pumpkin done. I'm working on the cat. and it's on a random piece of 36 count when I ordered a whole bunch of little sample 36 counts to see if I could find one and or if I liked working on 36 count when I was getting ready to do Let Freedom Ring. So I have all these random pieces of 36 count. Tag is in here. Summer Khaki. 36 count Summer Khaki by Witchell. So I went to and gave thought to pulling out a whole bunch of little Christmas smalls and doing the same thing, kitting them up, having them ready to go. And then I didn't do it because I still had these fall ones that weren't finished. Last year I did that with Christmas ones, and I was working on them well into January. So I don't feel bad that my fall ones aren't done, and I really am not ready just to put the basket away and not do it. I forgot to put the pattern back in. So that little basket of goodies is out by my upstairs stitching chair, and hopefully I'll still reach in there and pull one of those out every now and again. And then finally, I had a New Year's Day start. When I went to the Midwest Cross Stitch Retreat, with a friend who I met there, who's not a Flosstuber. Hang on, I'm looking for something. She and I decided we wanted to do one of the Hawk Run Hollows, and Farms. Farms was our decision. I knew I wanted to do one, and I couldn't decide, and she was saying the same thing. And what I actually don't remember is if she already knew she wanted to do Farms, or if she waited till I picked Farms. I'm not really sure. So anyway, the Farms of Hawk Run Hollow. And this is going to take more than just a year. I can tell you already. I talked in the last video about how I mistakenly cut my fabric sideways I cut it up and down instead of sideways to make the right. So I had to order more fabric because this is big. I think on 40 count, which is what I'm doing it on, the pattern comes out to be almost 28 inches wide and just over 9 inches tall. So it takes a big piece of fabric. So I did start. My first goal is going to be to box in some of these squares. I'm not going to delude myself into thinking that I could have even a square done before I head south. It's not going to happen. I'm not taking this with me. So what I did yesterday, which it took me a while to get myself set up working on 40 count. I've worked on 40 count before, but it's been a while, and probably before I needed a magnifier. So I was using actually cheaters, taking my glasses off, using cheaters and the magnifier, and I could see, but I'm thinking there'll be a little bit of learning, and I'll get it. So my piece of fabric is here somewhere. I'm doing it with DMC, so it doesn't even take a ton of threads. Doubloon. It's 40 count doubloon by Picture This Plus. I knew that. I knew it. I just couldn't come up with it. So I am currently working on boxing in this large center one. This is the size of 2 of the other sections. So here it is. Can you see it? What can you see? It's not even as wide as it needs to be. It's as tall as it needs to be, but it's not as wide. So I was starting from the middle, moving out, and I needed to do like 93 stitches going one way and 92 stitches going the other way, and I was stopping to count the stitches like obsessively, which was about to drive me over the edge. So what I remembered was somebody, I think it was Michelle of Cozy Egg, talked about, she was doing a Hawk Run Hollow, and she wanted to do the bottom square after starting at the top. So she did some counting down and sort of boxing in, and she did, let's see if we can get a good picture here. She did like 10 half stitches and then crossed the 10th, and then again and again. So it's easy to see where you've got 10, 20, 30, and then go back and cross them, fully cross them. So this half is done. Let's see, I'm trying to see what you guys see and mark it. So this is like 93 stitches fully crossed. And then going up, I've done it in those same chunks of 10 again, as you can see. See that? Can you see? And starting across the top. What I'm fearful of is if something is not right, I'm going to have a lot of things to take out. So that's why I'm doing it in all these halves. And it's so much easier to count, because down here you can see, where does it start? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, I think I've got. So I have 22 more to do before I can do the row up. So there it is. Stitched in hand. I monkeyed around yesterday. I have a second set of these 30-inch scroll rods. Mine are the kind you have to sew. Sorry, that's my step stool under my desk. My little footrest. Apparently unbalanced. So anyway, I sewed it on, blah, 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 messed around, got it all on, and this is 36 inches wide. So I, folded in a little bit and rolled it up and got it all on there. And the whole thing just is not close enough to my face. No matter, this thing is 30 inches wide, and you can't just lift it up closer to your face to get under your magnifier. So after attempts and removals and attempts, I just took it out and took it off and said, I really didn't imagine that it wasn't going to work, because I'm not having a hard time on the 36 count for Let Freedom Ring. So I didn't even try it in hand first, because I had tried Let Freedom Ring in hand, and it was the fabric was there was just too much fabric. So this baby's just going to be this way, I guess, for now. I'm hoping once I have boxes done and defined parameters that it'll help the insides go easier, smoother. I don't know. It's a project, none of these things are intended to be finished overnight. And, you don't pick up a project like this and think you're going to finish it overnight. I'm looking forward to so many of these. And there are really a lot they don't have a ton of stitching. Look at the barn raising. There's not a lot of stitching in that. And then there's some that have quite a bit. But that's probably the heaviest stitched block. And anything with the sign that there's a lot, it's just a lot of solid. So, it's not going to get done in a year, I can guarantee it. So no disappointments next year when I pull this guy out. I have it in a project bag that I just happened to pick up downstairs because it wasn't in a project bag at all. And I don't think it's big enough. But it's kind of fun because it's fall and it's farmy. So we'll see. We'll see. And then one last thing to show you. I think probably most of you know this by now. But the Good Housewife has an Etsy shop. My mailman. How thoughtless. Ugh. So on my dream list of patterns, which there is not a lot, I do keep my eye on all the re-released Prairie Schoolers. Now that I know they're coming out, I'm not really stocking stash unload for them, because I figure if they'll eventually come around. So, very reasonably priced, probably priced close to what they were originally priced at. I have these two. Very thrilled to have them, as you all know. I think anybody who's been a fan of these or looking for these, they're priced at an outrageous price. I thumbs up, a round of applause, the whole thing for a designer doing this, realizing that there was a demand and finding a way to make it work. I kept watching her site. She only had Book of Spells on her Etsy shop for a while. That was the only one. But somewhere I had heard or read that this was what was coming next. So every day I was checking her Etsy shop. And prior to that, her sales, were like 20 sales, whatever. And the evening I popped in and these two were on there, I think the sales had jumped to like 198 sales. So there's demand. People are watching. People are watching and waiting. So I don't know. I know not all designers are able to re-release things, but we appreciate it. Thank you. Because I know I put the plea out there almost a year ago when I paid a lot of money for something. I don't remember what it was. I think it was a Prairie Schooler, but I don't know. Or a Blackbird design. I don't remember. So anyway, hope everybody's having a nice holiday and that your temperatures are not as low as mine. Although I know Farm Girl, I think you got it worse. You're colder, a lot colder. And where'd I see? I've seen some cold temperatures. Thankful that here in the Northeast we have homes that can sustain the need for the kind of heat and wind and whatever insulation they're built to withstand. So hopefully people are keeping warm. I listened to an NPR station on the radio, and this morning they said there's no bad weather, there's just bad clothing. So if you dressed for it, his point was, if you dress for it, you can tolerate it. So I'm envisioning the walk down to the mailbox. It's going to be a cold one, so I'm going to have to wrap up. It is windy today, even though it was all the way to, what did I say, 18? The wind is blowing again. So anyway, it's a cold one. January 2nd, like I said, I'm not sure if I'll tape again before I leave to go south, which will be in a few weeks. And it'll just be, I'm only there a few weeks, a month, just a month-ish. So, gotta get out of this cold for a while. My husband travels a lot. So I could sit at home all by myself, or I could go down there and enjoy a little sunshine and do some things with family, and I have friends down there. So it's all good. So have a good one. Happy 2018. Bye.